All right. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Discord? We just got to get Instagram started. And then we're ready. Is Instagram ready? Apologies for awkward beginnings to live streaming. You can look at my beautiful Chemex while you wait. I took the wood things off. I liked how it looked better. Are you going to invite her immediately? That'll work. That'll work. Oh, I should probably... This way I can see myself. All right. Oh, wow, we got a lot of people already. What's up, everyone? Are you guys ready to finally be able to get your hands on one of these? R2 Extract. Microbalance. Here in the actual flesh, the final version. Took long enough, but we're finally here. Hey, Kat. All right.
Hey,
Pretty good. Yourself?
Very good. I see that scale there. I'm a little jealous.
You want one?
I mean, yeah.
Here, I'll hand it to you, and you can just grab. Oh wait.
I wish we had that technology. Yeah, cool. I'm super stoked. I have my R2 here as well, so we can play around with that in a bit if we're wanting to. But tell me a little bit more about this launch event and what's coming up.
All right, I will do that. I'm going to start it by telling you, because I think we got some new people here. So I want to go from all the way back to the beginning to kind of where DiFluid came from and lead up into this launch. So essentially, the company was started by a guy named Linus. English name is Linus. I always forget his Chinese name. Sorry about that, Linus. But anyway, he's a super genius, and I didn't know when I met him, because I actually didn't even know he owned the company. He was just, I thought he was some guy from the company communicating with me about doing this kind of stuff. And so we were talking, and eventually he told me the story of the company where he was studying to get his PhD at one of the best universities in China. And someone was just like, hey, what if you were to have a sensor in an immersion brewer, like a French press, where you just pour the water in, and then it's like, all right, your coffee is perfectly extracted. And he's like, I'm going to try that. And in trying to make that, he was like, oh, wait, I basically accidentally reinvented the refractometer. But he was like, his prototype was infinitely cheaper than the super expensive ones. And he was like, maybe there's a market for this. And just turned it into the original one, and then started selling it to everyone, not just for coffee people. And then found that the coffee community was obsessed with him. They're just they're the ones who really, really wanted it. And so with his second generation, he was like, you know what? Put all the other ones aside. Let's just focus directly on the coffee community, and took all the feedback from all the people who had bought the first one and turned it into this. And so I came into this situation right after they chose what R2 was going to look like. And now I've been with them through the process of development, and now it's finally ready. And that's where we are today. So now my question for you is, what do you use it for?
Yeah, well, first of all, that's very cool to hear the background and lead up to the creation of this, because, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's how a lot of really cool things get developed. Somebody's like, I wish I had a thing that did this thing. So that's cool that Linus, you said, could just made it. Yeah, so my background is in the coffee industry. I've been in the coffee industry for 10 years, and I currently am a coffee roaster and have been doing that for around 5 years. So I've been in the coffee world for quite a while in various different roles here and there. So I have used a refractometer both in a cafe setting and in a roastery setting to make sure that our drinks are consistent, our espressos and drip coffees are pulling correctly and basically maximizing the tastiness of coffee. Of course, I will say, and I'm sure as you know, just because you hit the right number on a refractometer doesn't mean that the coffee is going to taste absolutely amazing. Because you can get a perfect number and have a bad tasting coffee.
Yeah.
You can get a number that people totally people recommend against and have a really delicious tasting coffee. So what I find the best use for a refractometer is just to give you data so that you can figure out, okay, when this coffee is has this range of reading, I know it tastes really great. So that's how I've used it before, mostly for consistency and for added data so that I know what's going on with my coffee.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. In fact, the goal of this whole system is supposed to be the I don't know, when so you said you have a roastery. Do you also have like a coffee shop where you sell the beans that you roast, or do you just roast them and sell them to other shops? How does that work?
So I work for another company that has 3 cafes.
Okay.
So we do have a roastery and then cafes where we sell our coffees.
Yeah. Okay. So like you said, it's not gonna tell you, does your coffee taste good? But the idea for them was let's build an app that goes along with them where, say someone in your situation, you roast these beans and you're like, if you brew them this way, like for this amount of time with this specific grind size with this temperature water and all of these variables are set down, it tastes awesome. And then say you put the coffee in the bag and then you put a QR code on it. The app will make it so you can scan that code and then import the roaster's way of brewing the coffee and then be able to follow that. And then you can test it and be like, did I get it right? And assuming that you did, it's going to taste good, because it's not about did the you're not just about matching the numbers. It's like this method was created by you to taste good, and if you get the right number, that matches the good recipe. And so
totally.
The data.
That's super cool. Yeah, especially, I mean, as a roaster, I often think that a roaster can roast coffee to taste a certain way and to be so absolutely delicious and to have certain flavor attributes and everything. But if somebody doesn't brew it correctly or use the right water, or if they even not correct or incorrect, but if they brew it in a different way, the coffee can taste totally different. So that's a super cool use for this, to be able to literally tell people, okay, I'm tasting strawberry and guava and brown sugar. Here's how to make this coffee taste like this exactly.
Yeah. Which is what got me on board, because they told me the idea, and I was like, well, that's awesome, because 95% of the time I buy a new kind of coffee, I bring it home, and the first 4 or 5 times I brew it, it's it's all right. It's pretty decent. And it keeps getting better, and then it's gone. It's like, damn it, I wish I had it good from the beginning so I didn't waste the first half of the bag.
Totally. Yeah, I haven't used the app yet, obviously, because they haven't released it yet. So that's super cool. I'm excited to learn about that. And are you going to talk later about the scale? Could you tell me more about how that integrates into the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, so essentially the idea is you'll go on the app and you'll pick a recipe created by someone such as yourself or anyone else who's just on the app, and you will import all of the data from that, and then it brings you to a brew page where then you bust out the scale, and because they communicate with each other, it knows if, say, it tells you to pour at 10 grams per second for this amount of time, and then the scale can tell the app, did you do that? And it will show you like a graph on the screen to help you match that data. And so then afterward, when you see your results, like you can test it and it'll show you how far away you are from what it was intended, and like where you made mistakes. You poured too quickly at this part, or you poured too long, or you poured too much water. And so it's like not absolutely mandatory, but makes things way easier to track over time.
Sure. It's kind of, instead of just giving you like the directions, it gives you, it's like a feedback. Like, instead of paper direction, it's like Google Maps as you're traveling.
Yeah. In fact, it's the difference between printing out instructions beforehand and then having them in front of you in the car and then being like, oh, I'm trying to drive now. Like, what's the next step on the instruction, versus it just telling you, here are the instructions, do this. So definitely really useful to have.
That's, that instant feedback and like, that's guiding you through so that you know that you're doing it correctly or not.
Or not. Mostly not for me.
Yeah.
But so one of the awesome things when I got like my first sample of it, I don't know if I have it over here. I do. I'll grab it right here. When they first started developing it, they had a 3D printed version and they gave it to me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start using it and see what the deal is and figure out what needs to be changed. And when I would pour, the numbers were kind of like jumping all over the place because it's extremely sensitive, and it kind of made it not useful to know my flow rate. And it was like, okay, it needs to be a lot smoother so that it can like, you can register how quickly you're pouring. And so they kept updating the algorithm over time, and it's gotten really good to the point where like if you have a constant flow of water from like a faucet and you put it on the scale, it's just like rock steady. This is your flow rate, which then makes it so useful. And you can still continue to update it. So like as we speak, the engineers are over there still working on improving it, and then you just update it from the app. So it just keeps getting better. And I'm always surprised when a new update comes out. It's like, I didn't even think it could get better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you use the scale? Like if for some reason you weren't like, you didn't want to do the refractometer stuff, you can use the scale by itself?
Yes, I made sure of that. In fact, we've been calling it a smart dumb scale, because it's like it has all the smart features, it connects to the app, it does everything, but clearly you're not every time going to want to use it with that. Like I make bread sometimes, and it's like, now I have a bread scale also, because it's really nice and accurate, and it's big enough that it doesn't the little tiny scales, I put my bread bowl on top of it and I can't read the numbers. So yes, absolutely you can.
Yeah, awesome. But we just had a question. Somebody asked about when it's like starting. They said that it looks like it's already sold out on the website, but you guys are like launching the Kickstarter as
so we're launching. We're not launching on Kickstarter anymore. It's on our official website, and it is at 6 o'clock. So we've started this live stream a tiny bit early as kind of like, all right, everybody, these are the things that you're going to be able to get your hands on at 6 o'clock on the dot. So that's why it says sold out right now. The page is available. You can go to the website, you can get ready, and then refresh at 6 o'clock / whatever your time zone is.
Yes, but people don't need to be worried
yet.
Cool. Do you want to break it open, try it out?
I do.
Other things?
Yeah, let's do that. So one of the things I didn't mention, what do you think of the design here?
It only looks black to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, camera's not good enough. So basically, it's one of those pads to make it so that the scale doesn't get super hot when you have like a brew vessel on top of it.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with how the design came out. But I guess you'll just have to wait till you get one and look at it. Can't get the sneak peek. My lighting's not good enough. And then we've got the main event, the thing you also have. Oh yeah.
Yeah. This was such a nice experience to unbox. I will say it felt like it felt so good to just like open up.
I kept being like, okay, when you open the box, it has to feel like an Apple product. Everyone always uses that comparison, but so I was impressed with what they came up with, all the way down to the inside is paper, no plastic. It's made out of sugar cane.
Cool.
Happy with that. All right. So, what was the name of your coffee roaster?
It's Black and White Coffee Roasters in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Do you sell in China?
I mean, we ship to China. The shipping fees are just a little extra.
If I were to buy some and ship it all the way to China, is it going to be would you recommend that? Is it going to be like too old by the time it gets here, or do they have like
No. I think it will stand up. I'll send you some. I'll send you some next week. How about? And then you can tell me.
All right.
we do have people who a couple of folks I know who regularly order from Japan and from Hong Kong.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been working for them for a year now. So I started last November. So 1 year.
Awesome. Hey, I have a quick question about roasting.
Yeah.
Because I'm in China, there's a lot of they grow a lot of coffee here, but because they're like so behind the rest of the coffee growing areas of the world, there's a lot of bad coffee, and then a lot of like, now we're making really good coffee. And there's a lot of places that just kind of grow it as a plant and then pick it, and they like don't know the techniques to make it up to the standards of the rest of the world. And so they sell that coffee in bulk. And I bought some of the raw beans just as like I want to try and roast my own coffee and see how it goes, and tried roasting it in a wok.
Yeah. How'd it go?
It went burnt. But my question is, can you do that successfully?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, coffee for most of coffee's history, has been roasted in a wok or in a like metal pan over a fire. You do it successfully. It's a little bit more difficult to get all of the beans evenly developed without any like torching or like burnt bits. But yeah, I mean you can. Yeah, there are like, I think if you search different like Reddit threads, there are people who are doing that all the time.
So then, when I say can you do it successfully, I guess I more so mean, can you do it in such a way where like people really like handmade things? You can get like hand pulled noodles, and they're like more valuable than machine pulled noodles. Do you think there's like a value to people who are like, I hand roasted this coffee, or do you think it's just always going to be better if it's perfectly roasted by a really quality machine?
You know, these days there is a market for everything. So if you find your audience, I think you can probably sell it, but I would not recommend it. You have to really dig down into some niche people who prefer the thought of hand roasted
the story.
Quality. Yeah.
Roasted by you got to get some famous person to do it. Jackie Chan.
I mean, I'm sure it would work, but yeah, I mean, you can. I feel like you can create, if you can find your audience, you can make anything these days. For sure.
All right, let's pretend that this coffee is your coffee, and you're gonna tell me how I should brew this. So first thing, what grind size? I'm using a Baratza Virtuoso that goes from 0 to 40 size, and generally it says for Chemex is size 20. What number should I use?
That is the same grinder that I have. I
Oh.
absolutely love it.
Me too.
Baratza is the best. I haven't really brewed on a Chemex in a while, but I will say every grinder is different, even like Baratza to Baratza, because the breweries get out of caliber and whatever, or calibration. But I would say let's do just under 20.
Just under 20. So like 19, 18.
Let's go 18, 19.
19. Uh-oh, I don't have my thing in here. Sophie, assistant, I need a filter and this, which is over there. I am not prepared.
That's all right. You were just drinking coffee earlier today.
So you said you haven't used Chemex in a while. What do you normally use?
I have this origami brewer.
Origami brewer.
And then I have the Kalita Wave. The Kalita Wave and the Origami are my two daily brewers.
Is there a reason that you went for those, or is that just what you had?
A little bit of what I had, and also because I just find that they're quite easy, and it's easy to find filters that fit both of them. Whereas, with the Chemex, also I just live with my girlfriend, and so there are only two of us. So making a big Chemex is a little bit more
overkill
coffee than we need in the morning. But yeah, I had two housemates previous to this arrangement, and I would make Chemexes with them, but now I haven't lived with them for a while.
Got it.
Chemex for the house.
I've always been a big fan of the Chemex because I love the thick papered version. I like the way it really filters everything, and you get that. I don't know. There's a specific character to it that it's hard to describe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Well, part of the reason that I don't have the Chemex is because it belonged to those roommates that I lived with. So when I moved out, when we moved out, they took the Chemex with them, and I lost it in the move.
I fortunately, living in China, have very easy access to. This is not actually a Chemex because they don't sell Chemex here. They just sell the Chemex shape.
I mean, if it works, it works.
It works fantastically, and it's really well made, and they've kind of turned it into their own design. This part is square. And then with the papers, I can't find actual Chemex papers anywhere, but it's just paper of a certain texture. And so it becomes a commodity instead of having to buy a name brand. And something about buying name brand paper kind of annoys me.
Especially when you're just going to throw it away every day.
Yeah. So, okay, hold on one sec. I'm going to grind. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me. Let's see. We have 8 minutes to launch.
8 minutes to launch. Everybody get ready to refresh that browser.
Do you wet the paper before?
Yes.
Okay. I usually do, but I want your barista instructions.
My brew technique. I mean, I'll tell you my brew technique, but I'm also a very brewer when I'm brewing at home.
All right. Let's see. Let's see if we can. I don't know if we'll be able to see. You probably won't be able to see the numbers on the scale, huh?
I cannot see them.
Let's see. It wasn't on, but yeah, you probably still can't. That's not going to work, is it? Do you want to
move it back towards you?
That's probably worse.
Yeah, no, I can't really see them, but
let's see. I want you to be able to see the flow rate indication. Oh, we've got an assistant.
Okay.
So speaking of the Virtuoso, you said it depends on how it's calibrated. I didn't know about that until a week ago, and I've had this well over a year. And I had been making espresso and being upset that it couldn't grind fine enough. And when I opened it up, I had watched a bunch of videos beforehand where they were all like, generally, like you'll find it in like the second hole, and you can make it go all the way in the other direction for more coarse, or a little bit further in the fine direction, but you can't really get much finer than the factory setting. And I was like, well, it's worth that little bit. And I opened it up, and it was as far coarse as it goes. It's like, oh, I've been using it wrong for a year.
YouTube.
Yep, that's YouTube. All right, let's see. We're at, I can't see, but in backwards here. All right, Tarot. All right, what am I going for here? What kind of flow rate? We have 20 grams on the dot of coffee here.
Great. I don't know the flow rate, but I would say, is it by minutes or is it by?
So generally, you would take the total amount of time and divide it, but then you also have to take into account like the bloom and whatnot. So you can just guess.
Yeah. Right. I usually do like 50 grams in 15 seconds for the bloom.
50 grams in 15 seconds. All right. Doing this backwards like this while I try to look is going to be hard, but let's see if I can succeed here. All right, here we go. I'm going to manually start the time. There's an auto time starting option, but because I keep doing, here we go. I'm going to start it. All right. 50 grams in 15 seconds. I can't pour evenly.
Sorry, we're doing our best here. Upside down.
We're at 48 grams in 18 seconds. Is that good enough?
That's perfect. That's perfect. And then we'll wait for another 15, well, I guess another 18 seconds. And then I would say, so the flow rate is in grams per minute?
Grams per second.
Grams per second.
Because per minute would be way too high to display on the screen.
Yeah. Then I would say grams per second. Let's go. What does 3 do? I don't know what that. I have no idea.
3 would be kind of like a trick. Generally, when I make espresso, it comes out at like 2.5 grams per second.
I see. Let's go 6 grams per second.
All right, 6 grams per second it is. We're at 4. I gotta speed up here.
Send it.
This is hard.
And I'll usually, for 20 grams, I'll usually go up to 300.
In one pour or more than one pour?
I do a continuous pour,
okay.
Generally.
300, you said?
Yeah.
I'm not pouring fast enough here.
10. Right up to 10.
Oh, I went past 10. Oh, no. I'm having trouble looking at the numbers upside down. Oh, no, I went to 300.6. Is the coffee ruined?
Toss it out. Start again.
Oh, look at the time. It's 9:58. We got 2 minutes.
2 minutes till lunch. Everybody go over. Get your computers
No one cares about my computer. I mean, my coffee anymore. My ruined coffee.
It's going to be delicious. While you're getting your DiFluid out, I want to say my absolute favorite part of this whole thing is the tiny little spoon to put your coffee on the sensor.
I'm a big fan of the way that this turned out, specifically because of the shape. It's so satisfying to, and it also unintended consequence that we started to realize afterward, because originally it was like do we want to include those pipettes in the box? Because like you get 2 of them and then they get thrown out and then people have to go buy more. So like, was it even useful to put them in the box? And then you have to deal with the waste. And so it was like, what's a better solution? We talked about using the spoon, and then found that like the heavier and more metal-y, the spoon, can't think of the right word, it absorbs the heat. And so it cools down super fast, and then you put it on this part's aluminum, and so it spreads out the heat, and then it's like perfect temperature right away.
Yeah.
So that really worked out.
Yeah. It's like, it's so cool, and it's perfectly, like, I haven't found a whole lot of fluctuation with temperature. It's been really consistent, like even when you put coffee on right after brewing.
Yeah. Oh, it's 10. Go. Get over onto
the DiFluid site and order. So what are like the options that people can do in order to like support this project?
Okay, so there's 3 things. We've limited it so that everyone has a chance. So you could only pick one of 6 options. But so you can go with a Microbalance, which comes with the what's this called? Heat insulating pad and the charging cable. You can get one R2 extract, or you can get the bundle that comes together, which is way better value because you get both and the significant I got here first price. And then also for someone like you, I'm not sure your exact situation, but we've got the 5-pack for someone who's like, I've got a bunch of people in my roastery, or like I'm teaching at some kind of school and they all want to be able to have one. So we've got the 5-pack of Microbalance, the 5-pack of R2 extract, or the 5-pack bundle. The bundle's always the best value.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that seems like yeah, for the coffee roastery that I work for, if we have 3 cafes, we have a roastery, and we have a lab, so that's 5 right there. I can see that for anybody who has more than one cafe, that could come in handy. Or you could take one home and play with it at home and leave one at the office.
That's what I would be doing. Especially once the app features are all available. So as of right now, we've got like the tools version that it will connect and it will display all of the data and the flow rate and everything and graph everything and show you all of your data. But as time goes on, it's going to be updated to include more of the online features. And as soon as that comes, I'm probably going to be drinking a lot more coffee. I love playing with that kind of stuff.
Totally.
All right, based on our brew experience with me screwing it up and adding way too much water, what's the TDS going to be?
5.6. What's the TDS? I'm gonna. Well, I don't know what coffee you're using. I don't know how dark of a roast. It looks like a little bit of a dark roast.
It was. Let's see. Here, I'll give you a clearer view. I believe it's a medium. Seems kind of right in the middle, but maybe a little closer to the dark side.
Yeah. Ooh, 100 orders already?
Damn, that was fast.
Nice. That's awesome.
Thanks for the support, guys.
Listening, yeah, everybody who's listening, if you ordered one, put it in the comments there. Show us who you are. Okay, I'm going to guess that the TDS is going to be 1.78.
1.78. All right, I'm going to calibrate it real quick. I'm going to guess 1.4 on the dot.
Okay.
1.4.
All right. How often, this is a question actually that I had, how often do you recalibrate the
Okay, so that's an awesome question, especially because I was super unsure of that at the beginning too. And because it was created by engineers and they're all kind of like under the assumption that everyone knows this stuff. And so they weren't explaining it to me. And it was like, no, but everyone needs to know this kind of stuff. So the first generation one was very much like a normal. Oh, damn, it's very much like a normal, like what had already existed refractometer technology. So it was kind of like every time that you use it, it needs to be calibrated because it's generally calibrated to the environment. So the temperature of like the ambient environment really makes a huge difference because it's going to be the temperature of the device, and then the refractive index is going to change depending on the temperature of the device. So that needed to be calibrated relatively frequently. This version, it's got like I wish I had it over here. So we have it's got a little tiny prism that sits right under the glass. And right before, like the layer between the prism and the external glass, there's an extra layer that it's kind of like a self-calibration layer that it changes with the environment. So because the light is shining through that layer, like it can use that to, oh, here, we have one. Can you see this? So that's the prism. And so then it's got this extra coating on the outside. So then when the light travels through that, it knows what the refractive index should be. And so it can self-correct. And therefore, it's not like it's not the same process as actually using pure water and calibrating it, but it makes it for a much better temperature compensation ability than just using, because generally a regular refractometer will use like a chart. So if you know that you're testing coffee, there is a known range of like refractiveness depending on temperature for coffee. And so you can just use that chart to calculate the difference. Like if it's at 40 degrees, then like compensate by this amount. And so it's like kind of an estimate. And so generally they'd be like, yeah, it'll work, but still probably test it at room temperature. But then with this version, because it has this like more of like a physical calibration system, it will be much more accurate even if it's not calibrated. But if you're like the more you calibrate, essentially any change in the environment is going to make a difference to some degree. So if you were to calibrate it before every test, it will be the most accurate it could possibly be. But if you were to not calibrate it at all for weeks, the difference won't be huge. But at some point, the device will actually have a little notification that pops up. It's like a little water drop to let you know, like, you should probably calibrate it at this point. So,
like, you've been lazy. Get your shit together and calibrate
this. Exactly. So at this point, I generally calibrate it when I use it. I just like have some water by my side. But there have been times that I forgot, and then I was like, I should probably calibrate it first and then retest and then fine, I get the same answer. So,
cool.
All right, here we go. Let's see what it is.
The moment of truth.
We were both way off. 1.53.
I guess you were closer.
I was 0.13 off.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. And so the refractometer will connect to your phone on the app. Is that all like through Bluetooth?
Yep, it's all Bluetooth. And so currently, the version of the app that's going to be available when people start to receive these is there's two options. Either there's like tool mode or brew mode. And the tool mode will just directly connect to that specific device. And you can like, say if you wanted to like do some kind of experiment where you like have 6 different coffees and who knows what you're deciding to do with them. But you need to like say test multiple times. You can test this 6 times to get like the absolute best answer. because like maybe it's cooling, or maybe there's a little bit of a variance, and so it'll give you an average over 10 tests.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you want to like use that coffee brew control chart, and then we have like a simplified version and then like the pro version, and so you can like play around with all the different tools there. And then Microbalance also has its own separate tool section, but then there's also brew mode, where it will like lead you through each of those like start with set up what brew ratio and like all of the variables that you're going to start with, and then it will take those to calculate the I can't think of the word, extraction. And so like it will take the information it gets from Microbalance as you brew, plus what you put in at the beginning, and then plus what you've tested at the end, and then just export all the data for you and show you on like a nice summary.
That's awesome. So we don't have to do manual calculations.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need just a notebook. I mean, it's always good to take notes. It's always good to have a notebook, but it can get tedious.
I see what you did there. It can get tedious. Ha.
I've been sitting on that joke for forever.
No joke. I have also.
Yeah.
I haven't found a good way to use it. It just never seems to work.
You can have this way. Just work into conversation. Oh, it can get so tedious. It's an easy slide in.
Yeah, but it has to be in a conversation specifically about testing coffee TDS. Otherwise, it just.
But I feel like you probably find yourself in those conversations probably more than most.
You'd be surprised. Coffee in China it's like on the rise, but still really far behind Western countries. And so people who like really want to use this kind of technology are mostly not in China. And so like the people who are close to this company definitely are in that field. But then at the same time, like my level of Chinese is not up to par to be talking about that kind of stuff. And the level of English of the people who understand it is not up to par to be talking about it. So I don't get to talk to them about it. And so I have a kind of less opportunity to talk about it.
Well, how's the coffee?
It's awesome. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
But
I'm so glad to hear you're enjoying it. But what coffee is it?
It's called let's see. I don't remember the specific roast name, but the roaster is called Honey Coffee, and he is a Dutch guy who moved to Yunnan, China, where they grow all the coffee, to kind of like teach them how to make better coffee so that they don't have to leave their hometown and go like find jobs elsewhere, because then they can make enough money to be sustainable on their own. And so literally I asked him how he got into coffee specifically, and he was like, I mean, I drink coffee, but mostly I did it because I was looking for a way to help people who were in like poverty situations in China and improve their lives. And this opportunity presented itself. So I took it, and now I'm really into coffee because of it. And I thought that was awesome. And so on his package, it just says like responsibly sourced. And that's like the biggest word on the bag. And it's great coffee. And so I feel good supporting it.
That's awesome. I feel like that's a kind of a common thread for a lot of people in the coffee industry. They got into it, just kind of like sidestepped into it somehow, and then they're like, oh wow, it's great here. There's so much.
That's basically what happened to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Me too, kind of. I read on a thing that there are only 36 bundles left. How many did you launch?
36 left? Wait. So it was 200 of all of the single things. So 200 single R2 extract, 200 single microbalance, and then 200 bundles, and then 30 of each of those in a 5-pack. So wait, so 36. Unfortunately, PayPal doesn't work in Turkey. That's strange. I wonder why. PayPal even works in China.
It's strange. The internet is sometimes glorious and other times.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you use your refractometer much at home, or do you mostly brew without it? What's your kind of everyday sort of?
My process is get a new coffee, and then I will, like I said before, try to not screw up the first half of the bag. So I will test it and like kind of see where I'm at, because generally like I know the strength that I like at least, and so it gives me a good representation of like what should I change for next time. And then as I kind of get closer to, all right, I know what I'm doing, then I stop and I don't test it every time. But as the app tools come out and there's going to be more opportunity for, oh, and you can try this too. Oh, and you can try this too for the same beans, I'll probably start doing it every time.
Oh yeah, for sure. That sounds cool. So what's the timeline for like shipping? Like, are these already in production? I saw you guys had a post today.
Yeah.
A bunch of them in. It looked like you're already getting ready to send things out.
Yeah. So currently the production is ramping up, and there's all these like little things that need to get. It's like I can only think of the Chinese word. Things that need to 挑来挑去. Things that need to be tweaked in order to like make the process go more smoothly. So the manufacturing process starts out rather slow, and then since we changed the launch from Kickstarter to our main platform, we don't have to rely on, like, the way theirs works is you have to get all the way to the end, and then once you finish, then you can start shipping it out. And this way it was like, okay, for this first batch, for the people who are right on board right from the beginning, we can ship those out. But I think as of now, R2 extract can ship a little bit faster than Microbalance because of differences in manufacturing. But it's like, as soon as it's ready, will be shipped rather than wait until this end date.
And do you have once this initial like push goes out, do you have an idea of when you're going to like launch the normal?
Yeah. That's not my job. So I don't know the actual specific dates, but yeah, that will come at some point.
Awesome. So if people miss out now, which if y'all are listening and you haven't ordered it, get it now.
Yeah, you're running out of time. But yeah, you will have other chances in the future, but the price will not be as good as it is right now. So good luck getting one right now. Hurry.
Yeah, right now. Go for it. Get over to the DiFluid website. Order now. Limited
Let's see.
time offer. I feel like I'm on like a late night, like the shopping network or whatever.
You are. That's what this is.
I mean, literally, it is.
In fact, do you use TikTok at all?
I don't have TikTok.
Okay.
I just do Instagram.
So TikTok, I don't know if you know, started in, well, the weird story, started in the US, was bought by China, then brought back to the US. But the development of like selling things on live stream in China compared to the way it works in the US is like, that's like the way that people sell things now. And so there's like a whole culture around live stream hosts who are really good at selling things, and people just watch that for entertainment. And so it's created this whole, like, is you can make a career out of selling things on live stream, and it's nothing like the shows that you were specifically just talking about. but at the same time, exactly the same thing. They've gotten so good at it that it's like you can find entertainment out of watching someone sell something you didn't want to buy.
Capitalism at its finest, right?
Absolutely. But then the funny thing is that it's not taking off at all in the US. And so on TikTok, you don't see that very much. But it's exactly the same app run by the same company, and just the content is so different. It's interesting.
Yeah. That's super interesting. Yeah, the cultural differences are pretty fascinating.
I always find that interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm very excited for the app to be up and running so that I can use this. Somebody I think asked what the do you recall what the price of each of the things are right now for people who haven't opened up the website yet?
Let's see. I don't recall off the top on its own. It's $39. They were creating this smart scale to go along with it. And so I start companies have fallen into. And as he's going through it.
So awesome. I mean, yeah, and the price for the refractometer too is like, I used to work at a coffee shop many years ago, and I asked my boss, I was like the head barista, and I was asking my boss if he would buy a refractometer for the shop so that I could keep everything. Any person can buy this and have the data at your fingertips.
Wait. Sorry, I got distracted by a message on this phone and totally forgot where I was going with that. What was the
price, the accessibility price for the?
Wait, accessibility price for the
like low barrier to like entry for the data because it's very affordable.
Now I have no idea where I was brewing. You could use it for like chemicals and stuff, and find uses for it. And I thought that would. Yeah. He was like, "That's why I started working with them, because I thought that would be super fun to just." We'll market it to any. I mean, like we'll make it available to anyone. Because
the community is that, especially like when you dig down deep enough, we're all just and we want to learn more and use tools and
it's fun.
Play with tools because like and sometimes I've found it's just because it's fun and it's cool to learn new stuff. I feel like that's essentially what the coffee industry is comprised of.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I didn't finish. $99 for this for R2 extract and $129 for the bundle together. So that makes essentially you could say that it makes this even cheaper. That's pretty cheap.
That's
how many do we have left?
I mean, you can't even get a refractometer without a scale for twice that.
Mm-hmm. How many are currently still available? Whenever I look over here, I see your face, and I feel my camera is facing this way, and not the face cam. So I have to look over here to see you, and I feel like I'm just ignoring you as you talk to me.
Talking to the computer. All good.
Let's see. Do we have any questions that I haven't answered?
I guess the biggest question that I received when I posted about it the first time was its accuracy, but you kind of talked about that with the the prism, this self-adjusting prism inside, and really I have found I was using it alongside another refractometer.
Yeah.
And I found that, especially across temperatures, this one was actually a lot more stable and a lot more I feel like it's hard to say accuracy when you only have two things to judge against each other, because which one is accurate and which one isn't. But I definitely could say that this one was consistent throughout temperature, whereas the other one I was using bouncing up and down and back up again as the coffee cooled.
Yeah.
But how have you found, or do you know anything about the science and magic that went into making it so making it accurate? Because I did hear that the first iteration was less accurate than this one. Do you know what changed aside from the prism, or is the prism the magic?
There's a lot of individual changes, and so thing number one, do you know the difference between accuracy and precision? Because I definitely didn't until I started doing this.
I mean, why don't you tell me? I feel like I have a hunch.
Yeah, so I felt like I had a hunch, and then I was completely flip-flopped, and then now that I've heard it 1,000 times, I'm like, how did I not know that before? I guess that makes perfect sense. But essentially, accuracy is how close it is to the correct number, whereas precision would be even if it's the wrong number, you'll get the same wrong number every time without any difference. So precision is more important, I would say, because like you said, you can have a coffee that's whatever percent and taste terrible, and then one that's considered a terrible value and have it taste amazing. So it's more so for getting, is this what I was trying to get, and how do I change it to get somewhere else from there? So precision would be the more important metric, I would say. And then accuracy comes from, is it calibration is important for the accuracy and less so for the precision. And so the first version had a few differences that made that harder. Like the well here was plastic, which made the distribution of heat harder. And that had its benefits in that you could put chemicals that would corrode metal into it and it would be fine. But it also makes it so that this being specifically for coffee, this helps to spread the heat out so that you don't have that fluctuation in heat. There's that layer that I mentioned before. And then there's also, they've coated the glass at the bottom here with some kind of material that repels water, so that every time you pour it out, the liquid out, it doesn't stick to the glass, so that when you wipe it, you can just wipe the metal part, and you don't have so you don't risk scratching the glass over time, because that really plays a big role in precision and accuracy. And then on top of that, there's just a lot of differences in the algorithm, everything they've learned over time. Because one thing that makes it really hard that I've learned is if you pour liquid in there and there are bubbles, that will affect your results. And that's a huge problem for the old kind of refractometer, both their first generation and this one use the same kind of sensor that's in a smartphone camera. It's like a square. And the old kind of refractometer uses one that's like a little slit. And it has to be so perfectly aligned that if you drop it or something, it's basically completely ruined. And so using that kind of sensor made it easier for them to gather more data. It's also part of the reason that it's cheaper, because they've become such a commodity at this point for smartphone cameras that they can use that in here. And then there's one other thing, is just research over time has led them to, they used to use a green light, because green light, for some reason that I don't understand, absorbs better into those sensors. And so they found like they had a higher level of exposure for the internal camera to use to test the refractive index. But they then found that a yellow light gives a more accurate result. And so just like little iterations over time have just improved accuracy and precision one step at a time. And so it's mostly experience over time.
Cool. That's awesome.
And then plus you're going to be able to update it. So as the algorithm gets better, it will get even better.
That's so cool. Yeah, my other question was going to be in regards to cleaning it, if you suggest not going right over the glass bit, if that will damage it.
It won't damage it in the same way that it won't damage your phone screen. So like, have you noticed how like you'll take care of it, you'll like wipe it down with a tissue and it's totally fine. And then like once you've had your phone for a year and a half, you're like, how did I get that scratch there? It's the same idea. It's like, you don't want to scratch it. And so they have coated it to prevent you from having to wipe it as much so that it won't get scratched. But it can get scratched. So try not to scratch it is the idea.
Well, yeah, I don't have any other questions. Do you have any other last things to say? Last gems of wisdom?
Last gems of wisdom. Do I have any other last gems of wisdom, assistant? That's not wisdom. I guess the only thing I have left to say is don't miss out on your chance. Because once the app gets released, I think people are going to be disappointed that they didn't get it at the early bird price.
Yeah, so if whoever's still watching it, go to the DiFluid.
Go.
Go now. And awesome. Well, thanks so much for telling me more about the DiFluid and all of like the background and how you got to be with the company. That was cool to learn. So,
yeah.
And I'm glad you enjoyed my coffee brewing.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for doing this. It was really cool to hear about your story.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk again, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Cheers. Yeah. Bye.
See ya. All right. So if I look to my left, she's still here on my screen, but she's gone. All right. So do we have any last minute questions from anyone else in the chat? Let's see. Someone asked, will alcohol damage the lens? I don't have a direct answer to that. I will find out for you. I don't think so. It shouldn't, the same way that it doesn't damage your phone screen, but hold off on that one. And I'll get, let's see. Yeah, no, alcohol will not damage the lens. You're okay. But at the same time, my question would be, why do you need to, are you testing alcohol, or is it like you're wondering for like wiping it clean? Because generally you shouldn't need to use alcohol. I guess maybe to dissolve oils, but generally, like, because it's completely waterproof, you can rinse it in the sink. Like you can like I've used it underwater before. It's totally fine. Generally, you don't want to do that because you'll get water into the charging port. And then if you try to charge it, you might like short circuit your electricity at your house, but the device will be fine. So you'll have no electricity and you won't be able to brew coffee because you won't have your electric water boiler, but your R2 extract will still be totally fine. Let's see. Do you have any other questions here? Oh yeah, pieces for cleaning. Would it be fine to dry with an air duster? I imagine so. In fact, it might even be better because then you won't put saliva on it from blowing on it. But also it comes with here, let me see here. It comes with a microfiber cloth that's like of the perfect, oh, this is the wrong box. Where did the R2 box go? Oh, here. Yeah, so it comes with a microfiber cloth that is perfectly sized for just doing this. And that will generally not scratch your prism there. And it gets it nice and dry. But mostly here, let me show you. You put some water on here. When you pour it out, you got water on it. I don't know if you can see the water, but you pour it out and you can see it's mostly dry. It's got like one, let me tilt it at the right angle. It's got a tiny little bit of water left, but it's not on the glass part. And so if you take the cloth and you wipe around the sensor or the glass part, dry. So you could use an air duster thing, but I imagine it would just be more work and you wouldn't need to. So go for it if you want to, but might just be extra work for you in the long run. Hey, Daus Kasha. I love the name. Thanks, God. I finally managed to buy it. I'm so glad you managed to get one. Now share it with everyone you know. Let's try to sell out before we finish the live stream. How many do we have left? Oh, this is it. I thought this was the prices. All right, so we got Microbalance. We've old data. Oh, this is old data. Okay, so it says 100 out of 200. 100 left. Is that right? Am I reading this right? It says 100 out of 200. Does that mean we've sold 100, or does that mean we have 100 left? Well, I guess it doesn't miss the same answer, but what? So what is this 140 left? These are all left. Okay, so we've got 100 microbalances left. That would be 140 R2 extract left, and 30 bundles left. Seems like people are going for the bundles, which is probably what I would have done. And then for the 5-packs, we've got 15 bundles left, 25 R2 bundles left, and 25 microbalance bundles left. All right. So you still got a chance here. Hopefully this is the right time zone for you. Let's see. What number here? Let me see. Do you need a New Zealand supplier? I don't know if I can answer that question. I'm not in charge of that, but I think the people who are in charge of that are watching the stream right now. So guys, answer that question. How quickly does Microbalance adjust to weight changes? Okay, so that is one I can actually show you. Well, I can't show you because you won't be able to see the numbers, but I can tell you. We have multiple versions here because it's been adjusted over time. If it's too quick, it's obnoxious because the sensor is so sensitive that if it adjusts immediately, like while you're trying to use it, if you blow on it, it's going to register. That's like a 0.1 grams worth of push on it. In fact, side note, one time I was using it to make bread and I totally didn't notice that I had a fan on over my head. I wasn't paying attention to that. And I put a bowl on it and it kept going up and down and up and down and up and down. And I was like, we got to fix this. I don't know why this is not something that should happen. And so I like took a video, I sent it to the engineers and I'm like, guys, I don't know why it's doing this. It definitely shouldn't be doing this. And they're like, ours isn't doing that. And turns out it's working exactly as it should because the bowl is pushing really hard on it because of the fan above. So yeah, it's very sensitive, but if it's too sensitive, it becomes obnoxious because it's not useful to know. Like if I put the spoon on and the spoon is rocking like this, like that's going to make a difference. And so if it's like going up and down while it's rocking a little bit, it's not useful information. So instead, the sensitivity has been adjusted to be useful. So right now it's at 0, and if I put it on, I'll tell you when it's at its final value. Down, final value. Down, final value. Is that responsive enough? So it's like down changing there. If I add something to it here, we got put it down there. That's how responsive it is. Is that a useful answer to your question? Let's see. DiFluid Nicole says it will be shipped in 3 weeks. So I'm going to say 3 weeks. What is the number it displays on the bottom? So we've got on the left side, the time. The middle is the flow rate for how quickly you're pouring liquid or how quickly the numbers are going up, which generally is used for making coffee, but it can be used for anything you want it to be. And the right side is the weight. Was able to grab one. All right, the Daniel Hogg. I'm glad you got it. Excited for my first refractometer. I'm excited for your first refractometer. It's cool because I got to see the whole process from being literally a lump of molten plastic to a piece of awesome technology. And so now seeing other people start to use it is too. Oh yeah, we've got the 3D printed version when it was like, is this a good form factor? And the sun has made it turn yellow and it looks really ugly, but it used to look all white like this. And so I've been around to see the whole process, and so getting to see people actually receive it and start to gather data from it, it's pretty cool. All right, let's see. Having purchasing problems. Uh-oh. What kind of purchasing problems? Let's see if we can help you out there. Same thing happens with my Lunar and Pearl. Not actually a bad thing. What happens? What are you referring to? Are you talking about the sensitivity delay? Because yeah, it's like designed to be the right amount of sensitive, which was arrived at over a period of time. Okay, so then, all right. I'm caught up on questions. If you asked a question way back while Kat was still here and I didn't answer your question, feel free to ask it again, and we can continue to answer questions. And let's see if we can, come on, let's try to sell out here. Before the end of the live stream. Let's see. I'll go until, how long should I keep streaming? Assistant, how long should we go for?
Until we sell out. So.
She says until we sell out. We are going to stay here drinking coffee until we sell out. So keep sharing the link. Tell all of your friends, especially people who own coffee shops and roasters and want to buy 5-packs, that they need to get here because they're going fast. This is really good coffee. I believe they sell this coffee in the U.S. I'm not sure where else, but
1 pack and 5 pack.
All right, new numbers. What's this?
Only left.
One left?
Bundles. It's 1 pack and 5 pack. And those are the number left.
4 and 12?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, the packs are almost gone. So if you're going to, oh. Yeah, the packs are almost gone. And because of fairness to everyone, we've limited it so that you can only, I can only think of the Chinese word again, 下单. You can only make an order one time with like one thing, so a 1-pack, a 5-pack of one of the things. So if the bundles run out, you aren't going to be able to separately buy an R2 extract and a microbalance because that would be 2 separate orders. So if you miss the chance to get the supreme discount on the bundle, you're going to have to buy one of something else and then wait for the next batch to be able to get the other of what you didn't buy currently. So hurry. 4 left of the 1-packs and 12 left of the 5-packs. That is good coffee. All right, so let's see. Java S. Wait, so it's Java's Jasia? Is that right? About to make a purchase right now. Can't wait to bring this online. All right. Get at it. Sold out. What's sold out? The 1-pack of bundles? Is that what we're talking about? what can we expect on the waterproofness level of R2? Okay, so I was mentioning this before. In terms of waterproofness level, here, I'll do a demonstration for you. So it says ready. If you were to just dunk the whole thing in like this, you could test the water. My water here says 0.00. And if you just, you know, leave the whole thing in here, I don't want to get my charging port wet, but there you go. How's that for waterproofness level for you? 0.00. So if you are to get the charging port wet, it's fine. It's not an issue, but don't plug it in until it's dry. But yeah, totally fine. Microbalance, on the other hand, because it's a scale, the way that it's designed here, because it's got a separate, like it's got a base and then the pan over the top, you can see water can definitely get in here. And the only way to prevent that would be to like coat all the electronics in a waterproof material, but then you'd risk getting water in here and then it won't dry and it would get moldy. And so the outside here, here, let me see if I can show you this. I don't know if you can see that well, but it's got a hydrophobic layer on there. So the water kind of bunches up and it easily will just pour off. Oh, but I want to drink the coffee. She said use the coffee to do that. But so yeah, so the water very easily slides off of here, and I like when it looks nice and shiny. But don't dunk this in water. If you pour water all over the top of it, it's going to be totally fine. So you're not like at a risk, but try not to get the bottom of it wet. Yeah. So how's that for waterproofness for you? Let's see. R2 is fantastic. I'm glad you think so, Giatti Cafes. I have to say, I agree. Oh, so something that I've seen other people ask that I'd like to clarify on. Microbalance was designed to be like the companion to R2 so that you can track your brews. But it's not like you can't use it for anything else. We've called it a smart dumb scale. So essentially, it connects to DiFluid Cafe, and it works as a nice companion that gets you data for your brews, but you can use it as a regular scale as well. So it's like the best of both worlds because it's not expensive. When I was trying to buy a scale, when I first got to China, because I wanted to make coffee, I needed a scale to make bread and I needed a scale to make coffee. And I didn't want to buy two. So I spent forever looking, and they were all either really bad or really expensive. And I ended up buying an expensive one and a bad one. And the bad one I got rid of. And the expensive one is fine, but was too expensive and is not a smart scale and does not have a flow rate indicator. And it does that thing where, like, if you put one coffee bean, like I'll be measuring my coffee and I'll get to like 15, usually like if I'm making espresso, I use 18 grams and I'll get to like 17.9 and I'll be like, oh, it's probably one more bean. And I'll put one more in and it's like, nope, 17.9. Okay, one more bean. Nope, still 17.9. Okay, one more bean. 18.3. What? Okay, wait, take one bean out. Still 18.3. Take another bean out. Still 18.3. Take another bean out. 17.9. Microbalance doesn't do that. So as soon as I got my my first one, when they were like, all right, Microbalance is ready for testing, I was like, whoosh, throw out my other scale. I'm using Microbalance now. So hope that answers your question there. Impressive. Well, I know I'm no joke. What is OAT? Oh yeah. Okay. So that's a good one. If you think of something where you're like, it would be useful to have a feature that does something. Microbalance and R2Extract can both be updated via the app, and so as we improve their algorithms, new features can be added. And so if there's something that you're like, I'm testing my and this workflow doesn't work for me because I need to have there's probably other people who feel the same way. And if you reach out and are like, it would be nice to have a feature that it will probably get made. No joke, when I first got to DiFluid, before R2 was ready, it was still in like the thinking about it stage, or like they had just like made a design. That was about it. And they had given me one of their original Refractometer, and I was playing with it to test kombucha. And I said, why don't you guys have homebrew tools? Because like I imagine people would want to be able to test like the alcohol level or like the extraction from when making beer or whatever. And you guys have like all of the, like you got a page for honey, a page for fruit, like all different kinds of fruits, a bunch of different chemicals for testing salinity of things. There's no homebrew tools. And they're like, that's a good suggestion. And then like the next day there was an update to the app that just had all these homebrew tools. And I was like, I just said it as like you guys should have this. I didn't expect that you were just going to go and add it in there so quickly. Like they really listen. And this was before I had started working. Like I had met them and we were talking about what we would do if we were to work together, but I hadn't started yet. And immediately they were just like, yeah, if you think that's a good idea and you'll use that, then we want to have that feature for you. So suggest things. And then there's also the SDK. So if you were like, I want to make an app that does this thing for this specific use case, you can use these tools and build an app for yourself and still have access to all the data that it provides. So that's also an option. Oh, so the bundle is, the 1 pack of bundles is sold out. The 12 pack of bundles is, sorry, the 5 pack of bundles, not the 12 pack. We do not have a 12 pack. The 5 pack, there are 12 left. And then what were the other ones? Oh, we don't know on the other ones. But so if you're looking to get R2Extract or Microbalance, your choice now is buy a 5 pack or buy them separately. You'll have to get them one at a time, separated by a period of time. But still the best price you're ever going to get. So I would highly recommend going for it if you still have the chance. Okay, there was a question that I missed that I wanted to answer. Oh, she said, now I know how I'm testing my coffee. No joke. As I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, the conception of the idea of making this device was somebody suggesting, what if you were to make a French press that has a sensor in it that will tell you it's done brewing. You've reached the extraction that's generally like correct for French press. And so when we were coming up with the design for this version, I was like, you guys had talked about doing that before. Like, would it be easier to be able to just dunk it in the coffee and then test it, and you don't have to pour any of the liquid in there? And turned out to be a pretty clunky way of going about it, and taking some out and putting it in here was just a lot easier and a lot more appetizing than dunking the whole thing in the coffee that you're going to drink. But it'll work. Go for it. All right. All right. You just got yours. Okay. I let's see. Aya Laferni. Did I pronounce that right? I'm glad you got it. Nice, nice, nice. Do we have any other questions? Questions? Ooh, will the scale be usable with a smart espresso profiler? I'm gonna go with yes, but I can't say yes from a perspective of I actually know the answer. I'm gonna go with yes, as in if the answer is no, tell us what you need in order for that to be possible, and we'll make it work. But I don't actually know what a smart espresso profiler is, so I can't tell you if it works currently. So my yes is just that eventually you will be able to. But I'm going to ask Nicole. Nicole, does it work with a smart espresso profiler?
The SDK thing. SDK.
Maybe.
And maybe to the top. See?
Who? What was that?
Now the company is okay that people can use them.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's how SDK works.
Yeah, but I don't know what a smart espresso profiler is. Do you know? Oh. So generally, like, there are things like there are people have asked, will you be able to use not a microbalance with DiFluid Cafe? Like if you buy an R2 and you want to be able to use that, but then you already own a scale and you don't need a microbalance, can you use that with our app? And the answer is, if the manufacturer of that scale wants to work with us, then yes. But we can't just go in and make it work unless they make it available. So if you want to be able to, reach out to your favorite scale manufacturer and be like, hey, can you make it work with DiFluid Cafe? Because
No, so
okay, so Nicole says the answer. Oh, I can see that. Yeah, she says no as of right now, but I'll make sure that it works for you. When does the app come out? Nicole, when does the app come out? Should be available pretty soon, but I don't know the exact date. Smart Espresso Profiler is an app that works with the Smart Espresso Profiler Bluetooth pressure transducer. So yeah. So then yeah, the answer is going to be if we can get them specifically to open their Bluetooth. Basically, they need to make it so that we can read their data, and then we will make it work. But it has to be open source for us to grab that data. If it was 100% just do it, and we didn't need to have permission from the company, you better believe it would be done quickly. But because we have to get the company on board, it might take a little bit longer. Good coffee. All right, any other questions? Or is everybody too busy buying? Let's see, what can we do in the meantime while we wait for more questions? Did I miss any? Smart Espresso Profiler. You know how I'm testing my coffee. I believe we got something new. Released this month. Nicole says this month. Air duster. How quickly? It looks like I have answered all the questions. All right, so I guess in the meantime, tasting notes on my coffee. I'm going to embarrass myself here. Let's see. Delicious. I am so bad at that. And that's actually one of the things that I've been looking forward to about having this app available, because if you have someone who says, okay, I've roasted this coffee, or at least like I know a lot about this coffee. And if you brew it in this way, it should taste this way. And if your results are this, then you should know that it will probably taste this way. Then I can taste it and be like, okay, now I see what people are talking about when they say it has XYZ flavor. But as of now, because I don't have that available to me, when I taste coffee, I'm like, I have no words. I don't know how to describe what it tastes like to someone else. And I feel like that's kind of the beauty of what DiFluid Cafe is supposed to be, because it's like, you can tell me that it tastes earthy, but then I can taste a different food that someone also describes as earthy, and it has a similar character, but it really doesn't describe to me the flavor. Like, I still can't know that taste until I actually taste it. Whereas if you have it like broken down into a quantifiable like numbers list, then I'll be able to look at it and be like, oh, okay, I've had coffee that has that same result before. And like if they say that it has these characteristics and this amount of extraction and like, it'll be easier to tell someone else who is not near you what your coffee tastes like and have them go, oh, yeah. And that way, you know, do I want to buy this coffee? Because if I roast it like, if I brew it like this, it should taste this way. So should I buy that coffee? And it will definitely help someone like me who has a really hard time describing what my coffee tastes like to someone and be able to be like, all right, let me just send this to you. It tastes like this. Is it actually coffee? You look too happy. Are you not that happy when you drink your coffee? Have I been drinking coffee wrong? Am I supposed to do it like this? Here's chocolate. Am I supposed to do the same thing? I wonder if we can test chocolate. All right, let's see. I've missed some questions here. Too caffeinated from SF Coffee Festival. So much comment. They had a coffee. What was it called? An expo here. That was actually where I heard about honey coffee. And I know that experience. You go to all the different booths and they're like, here, try this, try this, try this. And by the time you leave, you're like, I think I had too much coffee. Satisfactory response. I'm glad you appreciate the response. When do we start shipping orders? Very soon. But I can't give you an exact date. Maybe Nicole can. Oh, she said within 3 weeks. Okay. I'm glad you appreciated that. All right, what are the updated numbers? Has everyone been sharing the link and making sure that everyone gets their well, the bundle's gone. So I guess everyone gets their R2 extract / microbalance. The input is 5 volts. So that's another selling point right there. I'm happy with how the back came out. The thing is, whenever I would buy some kind of device before working with DiFluid, I never really paid attention to like the words on the back of the device. But now that I've been so close to this and like seeing everything come together, it's such a different experience seeing it from this side. We put a lot of effort into that. I didn't even read those ones. I forgot you had given me that. Like literally everything down to like when the screen was first injected, and I saw like the actual physical like screen cover part come out, and the engineer pulls it out of the machine, and he's like, and I'm like, I can't tell because I had never even seen the machine before. What is he looking for? And he looks at it and he's like, no, it's not right. And he throws it away and then like puts it in his big recycle bin for like reuse the plastic that comes out. And then he like okay, pull out the next one. Nope, not right. And it was like, he did that for so long, and I could not tell what he was looking for and what he was trying to change, what he was trying to get at. And then by the time like the final version came out, he's like, all right, it's good. Now we got to do it. And I was like, what do you mean now we've got to? Apparently they were using like a pure clear, like acrylic like plastic so that you can check the clarity and make sure you can see through it really well. But then because the external plastic is black, if you use like a perfectly clear screen, it didn't really match because like once the screen is on, it doesn't look the right color to match the outer look. And so you have to mix a little bit of black into the clear so that it's like a clear black. But if it's too dark, you won't be able to see. And so it has to be like exactly the right amount, as well as being like the right amount of pressure and the right amount of heat and the right amount of time. And so it's basically like making coffee again. And so I'm watching him do this. And in order to get exactly the right amount of black, he literally reaches his hand into this bag and he takes a handful of like the pellets that they use to melt down. And he's just like, and then puts that in the machine. And I was like, wait, is that like, aren't you going to weigh it? And he's like, I've been doing this long enough. I know how much to use. Just like, on the one hand, I was thinking like, oh, maybe he just doesn't need it to be that precise. And then quickly realized like, he's just done this so much. He knows like the correct amount. Also at the same time, that was just a sample batch. And I'm sure they ended up having to weigh it in the long run, but he was testing to see how much needs to be used. And he knows how to translate from like this much in my hand to how many grams need to be for like the final batch when we actually manufacture. And it's like, I wouldn't be able to do that. Like if I made a test batch of coffee and like just poured some in and then later was like, okay, you need to use 45 grams per liter. It were like, that would be so little coffee. But the intuitive knowledge of this engineer and watching him work on this was just so satisfying. And now it looks great. Did I miss any questions? I vibrated so hard and danced so much on the drive home. Vibrated? So were you... Oh, we were talking about... Oh, okay. We're talking about the on the drive home from the coffee expo. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I didn't have to drive home because Shenzhen has amazing public transportation. So I just went home on the subway. But I vibrated so hard on the subway home. All of you, those of you who have just joined, thanks for joining, but also you should be joining the Shopify page. We are running out of time. So far, the current numbers are Microbalance, 172 left, 28 bundles left. R2 Extract, we have 97 and 27 bundle, 5-pack bundles. The Brew Control System bundle with R2 Extract and Microbalance, gone. And 5 packs, 12 left. Go. that is not a lot left. I love how quickly those bundles went. Everyone was just like, give me that. And now people are like, oh man, which one? Oh, Microbalance or R2? Because I can only buy one. But the best price that you are ever going to find is right now. No matter what sales come up, no matter what, even if you find it on eBay 3 years from now, won't be that cheap. Because the algorithm, think of it like a Tesla, where the algorithm keeps getting better. So the car is actually more valuable than when you bought it. That's R2 extract. The algorithm is going to get so good over time that it's going to be more valuable than when you bought it. Especially because then the app's going to be, it's going to be so fun. I can't wait to use this app. Let's see. One test with R2 before you, okay, I will do another test with the last of my coffee and I'll show it to you. So I have already calibrated this today earlier in the live stream, but I will recalibrate just to show you the process. But it definitely doesn't need, in fact, I will show you, it says ready. So this is like it. We're at ready to test, and I will clean my spoon like this. I'm not going to calibrate it just to prove it, but I'm going to test water to see if it's at 0.00 to see if calibration would have even been necessary. So I will test it and then dump out the water and show you the results so I don't pour water all over my table here. So test. All right, dump out the water. We got 3 cameras here. 0.00. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to calibrate it, but I am going to wipe out the rest of the water here. I don't know why I'm using a rag when I got the microfiber cloth right here. Perfecto. Okay, and then we've got the rest of my coffee that I brewed earlier, and it is at so the machine right now, it will tell you what the temperature that it's reading from the environment. It's basically giving you, so it's got 2 temperature sensors. One is connected to this the metal ring here. And one is connected to the glass prism, which looks like this. And it's underneath the glass right here. And so they give the machine an accurate representation of what the environmental temperature is, what the temperature of the device is. And as you put coffee on it, if the coffee is really warm, it will heat up the device. And so as it tests, it needs to distribute that heat, which is why we've switched to a metal ring for this version, because it's specifically for coffee, and obviously coffee is mostly going to be hot or at least cold if it came out of the refrigerator, and it needs to reach like an equilibrium. So the more close to room temperature your coffee is, the more accurate your results are going to be. But even if you're using a liquid that is not perfectly at room temperature, because of the micro calibration layer that they've coated onto this prism, it kind of acts like as the light travels through that layer, it's like it knows what the refractive index of that layer is supposed to be and can use that to compensate for temperature difference. And so it should still be pretty accurate at most temperatures that are not extreme in one direction. Either it's way too hot or way too cool. But I found that like if I test just water, I don't do this, but boiled water and then just poured the boiling water on it to see, and it's pretty good at getting like the water will still register 0.00 when it says it's like 60 degrees. The only time it gets really out of whack is if you pour the water on it and then immediately test, because the water temperature is way different than the temperature of the actual device. They need to like really reach an equilibrium. And so it's essentially like taking a microscope and holding it up like this to look at things, like totally the wrong way of using it. And then still will often give me a pretty accurate result. So I'm pretty impressed with its abilities here. But this, so the reason I was bringing all that up, this is cold coffee at this point. I brewed it earlier in the stream. So it should be quite at the same temperature. Yeah, quite at the same temperature. That's a good way of talking. As R2 extract right now. So this result should be quite accurate. Let's see. We are at, it says 27.6 degrees. And way earlier in the stream, if you've been here this whole time, the TDS of this coffee was 1.52. And that is exactly the answer that we've gotten again here. 1.52. How's that for precision? 1.52%. I'm pretty impressed with the level of attention to detail that they've managed to produce with this. Let's see, I've missed some questions here. Does the company have plans for something like an Agtron for roasting coffee by color? So the plan of the company is to keep going in the direction of being able to get exactly the extraction that you want out of your coffee. And in order to do that, there are a lot of different variables. Like there are a lot of different devices that are on the table. Like we've talked about a nice water boiler that boils water to the exact temperature needed for the recipe that you're going to use. And that's one that me personally, I'm excited about because I use accurately temperatured water for more than just coffee. And it seems like every water boiler that has the ability to set the temperature is really ugly or is made out of like fake wood textured low quality metal, and I hate those. And every water boiler that looks really awesome is just super impractical because they're either designed for like a really old style, like it's like a kettle, or they don't pour well because they're not gooseneck. And so it's hard to make pour over coffee. And so one idea for the future of this, like next future products, is to be able to go on DiFluid Cafe and be like, oh, this recipe calls for me using water that's at only like 84 degrees. And then like, these are the kind of results that you get out of that because it's like a super dark roast, but you want to use a lower water temperature. Most water boilers, like the one I have over here that boils, this is more for tea. And I don't think it looks good at all. But it boils to kind of a precise degree, but it's only by 10 degrees. So if I were to boil it and then it gets to 70 degrees, if I take it off, it's like still rising in heat and it will get to like 72, 73. And I don't really know for sure. Then it doesn't pour that well because this spout is okay for just filling a vessel, but not great for like controlling your pour in the same way that this one is. And so it's like, it's not very precise on temperature and it's not very precise on pouring. And then whereas this one is pretty precise with the pouring, but obviously it's just a standard kettle. But if I boil it in this and then pour it in here, I don't know the temperature. And so it's really hard to control the temperature there. And so one idea for the future of DiFluid is to have a water boiler that not only looks good, but can boil water to very precise degrees. And then be able to go on DiFluid Cafe and be like, oh, this recipe said, like I said, 84 degrees. Okay, I want to make that recipe. And then it'll be like, okay, boil the water at 84 degrees. And I don't have to like set that. It just takes it from the recipe, which would be so cool. So to answer your question, you said, let me go back to it. So for roasting coffee by color. I'm not sure about actually the roasting of it, but I know there are talks about making something that can tell you like a definitive, this is the how roasted your coffee is, and like grind size as well, so that you can get more and more and more and more data out of your coffee to the point where you can essentially be like, I want my coffee to taste like this, and be able to quantify what is this, and then produce exactly that. So Microbalance and R2 Extract are like step one on that road. And there are a lot of technologies that need to be either perfected or created in order to get to that goal. But if you have something that you're like, okay, that in particular, it needs to be done in order for that goal to be reached, and I really need this particular machine, leave comments. Because we look at them all, and the ones that get the most like, I would need that, I would use that, I need that, generally get pushed to the top of the list of things that get made. And the guy who started this company seems to be able to do anything. Honestly, don't understand how he does it. Literally, I asked him, would you be able to make a machine that can tell you the grind size of coffee? I know this kind of machine exists, but A, they're like $4,000. And B, what I really want out of it is to be able to say, like, I have this Baratza Virtuoso. What grind setting on this is the same as the grind setting on someone else's grinder of a different brand? So that in DiFluid Cafe, if the recipe says, like, this is the grind size, if they say medium, like, what does that mean? Medium can be a huge range. And so I thought it would be super cool to be able to go, okay, set the grind to 15. And so it's like, okay, for his grinder, 15 is this setting. And for my grinder, 15 is this setting. And so I was like, would you be able to do that? And he was like, yeah, probably. And he started like tinkering and like seeing what he could, and like showing me like, oh, so this is how this would, and it's watching his mind work. He is so smart. And I legit don't think he realizes how smart he is. It's pretty cool. Would you use something like that? If you were able to